Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
Hey, welcome to episode 257 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Good to have you here. I'm Jimbo, your host, and today on the show, I am releasing another interview I did at SEMA 2016. This one is with Obsessed Garage founder Matt Moreman. He is from Florida, actually, and has a sensational YouTube channel. Has grown quite a bit lately and has a really interesting story behind why he started a YouTube channel. And I think a lot of you guys will find that fascinating, as I did. I walked into this conversation. I was asked to meet with Matt at SEMA through Brian Orr. Brian, if you're listening, what's up? Thanks for the introduction. Brian is Matt's co-host on Matt's podcast called Dialed In. You can find that in iTunes as well, and him on YouTube under Obsessed Garage. But Brian reached out to me and said, hey, would you mind meeting up with Matt at SEMA? So I checked out who Matt was, found his YouTube channel, and quite honestly wasn't that impressed. And that's just me being completely honest, open, and real. So I was going into this conversation or this meeting with Matt kind of not too excited, and I couldn't have been more excited walking out of the interview. And I think it's a friendship that we will have for quite a long time, because I was completely blown away by Matt's story, which he goes into depth in this podcast episode, so I encourage you to listen to it. But I was really encouraged by his story and really, I don't even know what the right word was, but just really impressed as to why he started it, and really grateful that he started it, because it seems to really, in a selfish way, help him kind of manage his life. So he is not what I expected at all. In fact, almost a complete opposite of what I expected going into this meeting. And so I was pleasantly surprised. And Matt, if you're listening, thank you for meeting up. Thank you for sending that text, that last text before we met, that you're the goofy guy standing by the CarPro booth. That was super cool. And I appreciate you, Matt, taking the time to do this conversation. So really, I encourage you to listen to the full conversation, this full episode with Matt and myself, and also Darren of Auto Fetish Detail. He was there too, chiming in, and me and Darren both, in fact, walking over, I was telling Darren, like, hey man, I don't know what to expect. This guy seems a little boring, just being honest. And Matt was just super gracious, super kind, super open, and he gets really open in this conversation. And like I said, I fully expect to be a friend of Matt for a long time, if he doesn't kill me after this intro that I'm doing just kind of off the cuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Matt Moreman. Of course, I want to thank today's sponsor of the show. I don't even like using the term sponsor anymore, because they're really partnering with me to help deliver this content week in and week out, and that is the Better Software Company. And I want to thank them. In fact, this past week, they sent me a couple screenshots that they had turned in, or a couple feedback messages that they had actually turned into blog posts for their blog, of you guys that have found out about them through the podcast and reached out to them and told them how much it's changed your business, your company. So I want to thank them, thebettersoftwarecompany.com. They are a CRM, or a customer relationship management software, specifically for auto detailers, which is extremely hard to come by. And they're one of the best CRMs specifically for detailers that I've come by. I personally use it and personally pay for it every single month. So for those of you that are wondering if I'm just promoting the heck out of them because they sponsor the show, partly true, but I used them for 6 months before we ever entertained the offer of telling you guys about them through the show. So they're tested and true. And one thing, I like to give you one thing that I like about them every week. And I'm going to give you two things this week. Their customer support is bar none. Phenomenal. If I ever have a question, I usually have a response within 10 minutes. Not saying that's the standard. I'm just saying that's what my experience has been. And the second thing that I love about them is they're constantly innovating, changing, and upgrading their platform. So if there's something that you see that they don't have that you would like to see, I guarantee you it'll be in one of the updates that they actually do weekly. I think weekly, it might be monthly updates. Anyway, check them out at thebettersoftwarecompany.com. Tell them Jimbo sent you. They're going to give you some freebies. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode with Matt Moreman of Obsessed Garage, and reach out to Matt after you've heard the show and tell him how surprised you were and how different he was on a podcast than on his YouTube channel. I'm sure he'll enjoy that. But tell him you heard about him through the Auto Detailing podcast. That'd be cool. And in fact, look for me on the Dialed In podcast. I will be over there doing a podcast episode with Matt. We've been texting back and forth and trying to coordinate that. So subscribe to the Dialed In podcast, and I will see you guys on the flip side.
But you do it for a living too, right? I mean, this.
Well, I do detailing for a living, so
Right,
I'm gonna open the show, and then we can answer that exact question. So we're here with Darren Priest again, who's just following me around at SEMA.
Sorry, guys.
Again, we've gone through these awkward moments, how we have to make it awkward because it'll sound better for people who aren't here.
Okay,
So anyway, as I record that, and I probably won't edit that out. So we're here with Darren from Auto Fetish and Matt. What's your last name?
Moreman.
Matt Moreman from Obsessed Garage. I'm sure guys follow your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So you're here at SEMA. What are you doing here?
I'm
sorry, that's not.
I'm here.
It's not a rhetorical question, but literally,
That's
so
not a
people
rhetorical
know,
question.
yeah.
But sorry.
So what you're doing, you're saying I'm not a real
Yeah.
detailer.
What
and
the hell
what
are you doing in the North Hall?
I'm here because I love this crowd. Man.
Yeah.
It's freaking awesome. You know, this is my first year coming, and
Cool.
as a kid, I always wanted to come here, but I didn't think that I would ever come. You know, like, why would I come?
Right.
You know, I'm not in the industry because regular people can't get tickets.
Sure.
I guess you can on Friday, but why would you fly across the country for that?
Exactly.
And so now I'm here, and it's like my head has exploded.
Nice.
It's awesome. It's crazy.
So what, for people who haven't heard of you, if they haven't seen your YouTube channel, what was, and I'm curious because I don't know, what's your past and what kind of led into the starting of a YouTube channel? Obviously, you said you have a huge passion for cars, but kind of why take that passion and start documenting it on something like a YouTube?
My story is, I probably shouldn't tell this because it's probably a little too personal, but a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed obsessive compulsive. So I was basically sitting on my couch, freaking out. Like I couldn't get off the couch. So I built, I'm in wealth management. That's what I do in my real job. So I manage people's life savings. And I had this corner office and big business and cool cars and everything, 2 kids and everything you could ask for. I was just freaking out. I just couldn't. I couldn't drive. I had to walk everywhere I went for probably 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And
So it was beyond the point of people going, well, I'm OCD. That's why I'm a detailer.
BS,
it wasn't.
I mean, it was
the real deal. Crippling.
I thought of myself as better than everybody. I'm smarter.
Okay.
I make more money and all this BS crap that I'd made up in my head. And so I had to go meet with a therapist. And I have a background in engineering, and engineers don't need help from anybody. We just figure it out, right?
Yeah, right.
So now this is the first time in my life I'm willing to do anything. If you came to me and said, try this, I would try it. If somebody rubbed oil behind my ears, I tried that. I do anything because I couldn't function. And so I went to a therapist, and I'm walking this dude's off, and he's like, in 5 minutes, he's like, I know what you need to do. I'm like, tell me. So it's just get out of your own head and let people in.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I started.
Such a reoccurring theme with all these content producers almost of anyway.
So I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no intent in producing anything,
right.
In a YouTube channel or any crap like that. And so I started blogging. I have a 991 GT3, a sapphire blue GT3, which is, probably the reason why anybody watches my crap is because I have an awesome car and it's blue, it's shiny.
Is it the color of your shirt blue?
goes with
Okay,
it.
I'm looking at your shirt going.
My ears didn't quite pick up. What kind of car?
A 991 GT3. So 2014 GT3.
Okay.
And so I started sharing that ownership experience in a journal in Renlist, Renlist forum.
Okay.
And it got hundreds of thousands of views. And Renlist is a pretty small group. And so I kept getting people just reach out to me from all over the country, all over the world, saying, hey, you're crazy, but I love it. And then somebody said, well, why don't you make a YouTube channel? Because I would take pictures of how I wash my car.
Right.
And I never once have ever said, this is how you do it.
Sure.
This is how I do it.
This is how I do
Right.
it.
I learned it from guys like you who, I just watch a video, or most of what I learned was from Phil at Detailers Domain. I would follow his blog, and I just buy all the crap because I make a lot of money and have a good job. And so I would buy it and try it and throw it away if I didn't like it.
Right.
And so over the last 15 years, I've sort of learned how to do what you guys do, but for fun, on maybe a little bit lower level, but much higher than the average sort of enthusiast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
And so that journal got big, and somebody said, why don't you make a video? So I made a video, and it got thousands of views, and now I have like 75,000 subscribers, something like that.
Wow.
And all I do, and most of my videos, it goes against everything you're supposed to do. Videos are 45 minutes. They're super boring. It's me telling all the details. There's no techno music. There's no intro. It's just me, raw, telling you what I think is good and what's bad. Yeah.
So what do you think has attributed to, how long ago did you start the YouTube channel?
I mean, it started years ago making just exhaust videos, but I really started doing
Seriously,
about a
I
year,
guess.
year and a half ago.
Wow.
Year and a half ago.
So
Something
that's
like that.
some pretty significant growth in a year. So what do you think
insane.
has attributed to that?
Well, part of it is the niche, and I sort of give permission for other people to tell their story. And so there's my group of cronies, or my group of people that are crazy like me, and I'm like the ringleader of crazy.
Right.
There's those guys that got it all started, and then I met with this big YouTuber. I don't know if you've ever seen him, Adam LZBMX. Unless you're into that, you probably wouldn't watch, but he has 1 million followers.
Okay.
And he and
how did you guys connect?
I just sent him an email and said, hey, dude, I was so interested in him because he's very intentional, but he's making videos that are very different than what we would, different content that we would provide. We're providing informational information.
What's his exact niche?
BMX, and then he vlogs his life, and he has 1 million subscribers because he's just a special dude.
Right.
And so he lives by me, and I just sent him an email saying, hey, dude, what are you going to do when you graduate college? He's still in college, and he has 1 million followers. Yeah. And I was just intrigued by, why would anyone do that? I'd drop out in a second. You would.
100%.
We all would.
We all would.
Making all his money, and because you guys know what YouTube revenue generates a decent living. Shoot, I think I make like $1,200 a month or something just off of YouTube, which is real money.
Right.
And
Are you going to want me to edit that out, by the way?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
And so I just reached out to him and said, hey, let's go grab lunch. And then we hit it off, and he drove my GT3, and I went from 20 to 40,000 subscribers in 2 days.
Wow.
And then I just sold my M3 for a GT350, which is very unpopular with one group, and even more unpopular with the Mustang group because I spent 7 days detailing it. And they said, you're a douchebag, go drive the thing.
Right.
And so I guess that has taken me from 50 to 70 in a few weeks, and now it exponentially. And I
Did you ever think it would grow to something like that, or was it just to kind of?
I have no. I mean, I thought 5,000 would be cool.
Yeah.
And then I could connect with some people and a real relationship.
Yeah.
And, I have a private Facebook group with 4,000 members that are really engaged. It's just insane.
So now have you rethinking, do you still want to be the wealth management guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my dream is to serve people that are like us, that have been successful, that need help. Because my unique skill set is organization. I organize things, and portfolio is no different. And so what's happened is there's this connection to, if I'm this crazy. So you guys do it for a living, but why would I spend 25 hours correcting paint? Why would you do that? It's just stupid.
That is a good question.
And why would you do that unless you were getting paid to do it?
Right.
I don't do it with anybody else's car, only my own.
Right.
And so there's a direct correlation between that amount of crazy and what would I do if I was managing your money?
Right.
And so that's what's happened. And I love products.
And it's like the power of suggestion. It's like if this guy can be that OCD,
and I don't ask for any of it. I mean, I don't want to ask for any of it.
Imagine what he can do with my finances.
Right. I just want people to know this is what I do for a living. If I can help you,
right.
But I don't want to sell it. I don't want to pitch it. I don't want anything to do with that. I want people that can get to know me from watching my videos or listening to a podcast, and then by the time they get to me, we're in some sort of relationship. All you have to do is tell me your story, and then we're connected. Right. And so this whole massive meltdown, I went from thinking I was the man. But now I realize I'm just a goofy guy, like we all are.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you, and I feel like there's pushback from some of the professional detailers. You're like, who is this frickin' guy? He's got all these subscribers. He's not a real detailer. Yeah. But if you knew the story, I mean, how can you fault that as my argument?
And that's why with my podcast, what I always focus on, and sometimes I get crap for it, but they go, why do you focus so much on the story? And it's like, well, for one, it's selfish. I enjoy the backstory because to be honest, if you're just watching someone's video, you don't really know their story. Like,
Right.
and so I start out every podcast with like, hey, how did you get into this?
What qualifies you to be, a professional detailer? Did you just fall into it? Do you just do it because you're trying to make
Right.
a dollar, or is this like a passion? And if you know the story,
Right.
then you know the passion.
Well, I get the one question, what qualifies you to be a professional detailer, but
Right.
you're not representing yourself as a professional
Right.
detailer.
Right.
So there's that
therefore, to me, the deeper question is well, what it would be kind of the absurd. It's like, well, what qualifies you to have an opinion?
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
It's
Good
because
point.
I'm human. I'm
Yeah.
a person.
We're
and
all
I
making
see,
this up anyway, right? It's just made up. So
Meaning I see the world uniquely through my own lens,
Yeah.
just as you do.
Yeah.
So I'm therefore qualified to give my own unique perspective on anything.
Yeah.
If you happen to want to watch that perspective as I deliver it,
Right.
in whatever form I decide to deliver it, or whatever words I choose to deliver it, then by all means come along.
Right.
But that's what qualifies me to really do anything.
Right.
It's just me. It's my opinion.
Yeah,
It's how I
right.
see the view,
And so
or view the world.
Yeah, isn't it? Don't you find that when you tell some of your story, like even you guys are walking, I'm like, who is this freaking guy? And then when the story, I can just see your faces change.
Because to be honest,
real.
I came in like what's his name that wrote into me?
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
Brian, and I'm sure Brian's a great guy, and we were cool. We had great dialogue back and forth. But I was kind of like, well, who is this guy? And so of course I do research, and to be frank, I even told Darren, I'm like, check this guy out. Like, I don't know.
And I went home and I checked this guy
You know,
out.
and then even down to the text that you just sent me of like, I'm the goofy guy. It starts to break down the ice, and then as you begin to reveal your story, I'm like, this guy's not a douchebag.
But see,
like,
the
this
old
is
me would
actually
have
a cool
walked up
guy.
to you, and it's just out of insecurity. I just thought I was better than you because I have 70,000 followers and you have 62. None of that
Which I
freaking
don't.
matters.
None
of that matters.
I have 700 on YouTube, which I'm like, whatever.
Come on.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but you got a massive podcast.
But the
there,
podcast is bigger. So,
Yeah.
and that's why I can appreciate shows like this, even though it's wearing and kind of you can get over it pretty quickly. But if you can make one good connection and find out one good story, and now I go back through a different lens of like, oh, that guy is pretty cool.
Right.
He's a good guy.
So hopefully this podcast, because you have the real detailers that listen to you.
I do.
That maybe I can. I don't want to be a detailer. In fact, my hope is that I drive more business to real detailers.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people watch this stuff, they're like, there's no freaking way I'm doing that.
I have endless people that write in with that, such a strong parallel to that exact story, which is, hey, Darren, I don't want to do what you do.
Yeah.
But I love cars. I love to take care of mine. My neighbors want me to take care of theirs, but I don't want to do it. I just want to learn some basic tricks.
Yeah.
I want to learn like the chemicals, the products, the techniques, so I can master my own car because I just love doing it, or it's therapeutic, and that's where you were.
And there's no competition there. I mean, they're not going to hire you anyway, right? They're going to do it themselves.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
But they're going to show somebody else that then and they'll be your biggest fan, in the world. And,
Well, really, I guess probably one of what I call my unique value proposition, which is kind of what you illustrated, you just didn't label it that way, is that I want to kind of be a voice of reason.
Right.
To kind of demystify this big can of worms of the world of detailing, and there's so much hype and BS in it, and everyone wants to make it so much more than it really is.
Right.
It's like, how about if we just kind of view it with a more realistic perspective?
Right.
So whether you're a driveway detailer or an enthusiast, because to me, I mean, it lends itself, like for you, it's like you can actually channel that neurotic behavior. You can channel it into
For
your
good
car.
rather than evil, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what, if I was your shrink, that's what I would have said. It's like, okay, dude, this will just grow.
Right.
If you allow it, if you allow that to take hold of your life,
Right.
which at a level it sounds like it did, it will continue to grow in a bad way. You need to learn to channel it and use it, hopefully, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So let's figure out a way that we can channel that obsessiveness, and that there will be a release of it, an outlet for it. And so a lot of guys, that's what, even if it means just escaping from the wife in the house, Which, okay, that's a whole different conversation.
I'm not admitting to any of that.
I know.
on
That's
air,
a whole different
Darren.
conversation. Whatever it is, your man cave,
Right.
it's
your thing.
therapy.
It's your
you know,
thing.
you want to get up and close and personal with your car, whatever. You know, it's an emotional experience, whatever. It's all whatever works for you.
And I look at it like I'm more appreciative of a guy who is just being real about it than a guy who's being fake about it. And all these details, and like
Exactly.
you said, Darren, all the hype and all the BS and all the this and the that. And it's like, gosh, we need more guys to flood the market that are just real.
Yeah.
Like whether you're a quote unquote, because really, like I always laugh at the term professional detailer.
Right.
Like I always kind of like,
Well, I've had people ask
You
me,
know,
what?
like even
Because
for
they-
myself, by the way, like when people go, well, you're a professional detailer, I'm kind of like,
Why?
Eh,
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I'm
Okay,
just kind
I
of
guess
a
I
goober,
am.
like,
Right.
you know, I don't
Well,
know.
I've had people ask that specific question. How do I determine when I'm a professional versus not? I said, well, how about if you just keep it simple and just go with kind of the textbook answer, which is once you're paid to do it,
Yeah.
officially
Yeah.
you're a professional. Does that mean you're good at it? Because that's a different question.
Yeah.
Very different.
Well,
so,
it's no different than I'm a financial advisor, and the vast majority of people just show up and they just kind of decide that's what they're going to do. And again, we're all making this up, and some go and pursue knowledge, and others don't.
Right.
And sometimes some guys are good salesmen, and they, even though they don't really know anything, they can become successful. And
Right.
it's no different really in any profession.
It's true, very
Yeah.
true. And that's like, a guy may know how to market himself, but doesn't know squat about
But
what
here's
he's
the beauty: if
actually...
you kind of do your thing, then people will figure that out. There's no reason for
Right.
us to get all bent out of shape. You just kind of chill, you do your thing,
Right.
Do the best you can do, and then people will show up. I'm a perfect example.
Yeah,
That's
right.
freaking crazy. I'm walking around here, and I'm like, I grew up in a trailer park, and I'm walking around here, dude. People are like stopping me.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you realize I'm just a dude.
I'm
from
just a
freaking trailer
dude.
park.
Isn't that weird? That's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing of like,
It's crazy.
like even that guy that wanted an autograph. It's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like I feel so awkward.
Yeah,
You
because
know?
I'm thinking, when was the last time I actually signed something with a big Sharpie? And
Well,
I'm like, wait, what does my signature look like again?
Well, and then
I mean,
do
how
you sign
silly
your
is that?
signature or do you not sign your signature?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
I know, it's
But
silly.
I had more fun laying on a Ferrari.
I did
sign.
too, because I always wanted to see the reaction. Because I
What were you
think
doing?
So we're over at the Auto Geek booth, and this
Yeah.
guy comes up. What's up, Henry? And he's like, hey, he's getting a bunch of people to sign his apron, his
Yeah.
Rubez apron, which is cool.
yes,
Whatever, right?
I get it.
Super cool. But he has all these autographs, and he's like, well, they took the table away. There's no place to really like lay it down. And I'm like,
Just lay it
well,
on
why
this-
don't we just lay it
this
on the
4x8.
Why don't we
well,
just lay it on the
things
Ferrari?
are tore up anyways. Who cares?
And they had corrected half the side, and granted, we didn't do the corrected side. We did the beat up side. But he's like, oh man, this is going to be the greatest photo I've ever. And so
Yeah.
we're signing his apron.
Kind of like you, where you're saying like you do everything counter to what the industry would have you
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
It
So
was
here
horrible.
we are.
Yeah.
We whip out our pen and an apron and laid it
Shining
on
Yes,
a
yes.
Ferrari.
That you're never supposed to wear a belt, no
Exactly.
rings allowed.
Of course.
There's all these rules.
12
So all
bucket
these
method.
people around us are probably having a hernia
Yeah,
or
just-
going into cardiac arrest,
Yes.
which is part of the fun.
Part of the fun.
For me, anyways.
Yeah,
I like that 12 bucket method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Because if 12, or I should say if 11 buckets good, think how good 12 buckets would be.
But I need at least a dozen sponges.
At
Oh,
least.
absolutely.
And if they're not $90, why are you? I can't believe
Yeah.
you put that to your paint.
All
I
right,
mean, come
all
on,
right,
guys.
We're getting jaded. I'm just as jaded as you guys, and I'm not.
Hell
I wouldn't
yes,
try.
yes.
All right. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of a question, but I'm glad we met because I
Yeah,
think it's
I-
cool and.
Well, I think it's refreshing
It's
because
very refreshing.
there's a real person
Yes.
behind this with a real story
Right.
Yeah.
that literally has the, I don't know, it's you're so candid about it, which is,
It's true
and a lot
humility.
of people
True humility.
aren't willing to do that, and I mean, there's the moment where you can self-deprecate because you can just kind of out of sarcasm and humor, whatever. It's like, oh, I'm just a nobody, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, guess what? I'm not really special. I'm just special because I'm just me.
Yeah.
As in, there's no one other than me, just like there's no one other than you.
Right.
And you actually, it was a byproduct of a true problem
But
that
see,
you were willing to
My-
address and talk about.
The big thing for me is that opening up is just opened up a whole world of like if before like I got all these text messages like of people that want to meet and hang out, like the guys that are followers, I have to go have lunch with one person and dinner with another person that I would have never met before, because I would have been too afraid to like put myself out there because of that fear of narcissism or whatever BS that I made up.
Yes.
And by letting that go, I mean, I met you guys.
Right.
You know, otherwise that would have never happened.
No, it wouldn't.
That's cool.
And by telling the story and being okay with it, it allows you to open up. Because otherwise, you're like, why would you? You're not a detailer. I mean, what are you doing in the North Hall? You know, what are you doing here? You know, you just want to buy some stuff, or well, no, I actually use it all.
Right.
It's freaking awesome. I love playing with it. So it's even better to be invited into, you know, to the circle, if you will.
Yeah, it's fun. What? So now what? Like you're coming up on 100,000 followers. I mean, that's significant. So what's? I mean,
one of my big fears, and I'm going to battle this to the end, is like I refuse to give in to, you know, the competitiveness of the different manufacturers. I'm going to use whatever I want to use and whatever's the best, and I'm not going to apologize for that. And some of the companies give it to me because other people will buy what I'm using, but I'm going to tell the truth. You know, I think if I keep doing that, I think it'll continue to grow.
Yeah.
I rebranded my entire wealth management business to Obsessed Wealth Management.
Oh, wow.
They think I'm
cool.
freaking nuts. You know, I'm walking around this place and everybody thinks I'm insane.
Right.
You know, of this Wall Street firm and everybody. I gave up my suit and I put my $10,000 watch in the drawer. I don't wear it anymore, and I put a really nice Nike polo that says Obsessed Wealth Management, and I'm going to do Obsessed Garage and Obsessed Wealth, and it's one dude, and I'm just going to share it, and I'm going to build an empire.
Wow.
Who's going to stop me?
Right.
So that's the goal.
Okay.
I don't care how many subscribers. If it's 5,000 people that are following, if they're engaged and we can help each other out and contribute, and there's an equal exchange of value, and if I can use products or get sponsored, I don't even know what that looks like. But what I do know what it looks like is that there will be a community. There'll be a community of people that think alike, that give each other permission to obsess. You know, obsess over whatever you're obsessed with, and then if I can help, contribute to you in some way, that's the goal. And I think that I could have, I don't think it would ever have 1 million people, which is too obscure, but I think I could have a couple 100,000 people that would be part of it.
But did you think you could even have 100,000?
Oh, God, no.
You know, so if you look at that, it could
why not
easily turn
million?
into 1 million.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
That's only 10 times the 100,000.
Yeah, you're actually not that far off.
Yeah.
You know,
and it grows exponentially.
Yeah.
I've seen that. So I think that for me, I think it's a way for me to connect. You know, I'm in the middle. Right? You guys are professionals, and then there's the regular, unobsessed people, and then there's me, sort of in this limbo, in this purgatory of nothingness. And I think I can connect the two. I just think that I'm the guy to do that. Call it confidence or whatever, but I think I can connect the two because I'm obsessed with what you do, but I don't want to do it.
Right.
You know, I want to do it to my own car, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so I think I have a unique skill set to get microfiber madness and test it out and see if it works.
Right.
And if I don't like it, then I'll just say, hey, here's why I don't like it, and here are all the sort of technical reasons why.
But I feel like our industry needs that because there's too many people that are willing to sell out, and not to call out Microfiber Madness, we just happen to be in front of the CarPro booth.
Right.
But there's too many people that are willing to sell out to name any company and promote the heck out of that.
And say, this is the best.
At times, though, I mean, if you're in the business, you kind of have to make a choice at some point, don't you?
Well,
But
I could
maybe
reduce
not.
that down to before that. It's like you could hope that you have to make a choice because you were saying, like, I don't even know what that looks like, getting a sponsorship.
Right.
Well, you probably will. At some point, you'll know what that looks like. So at that point, you'll have to make a choice. Okay, there's a lot of guys out there that be like, wow, nice to be you. You have that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, now that you have that choice, which choice are you going to make? Are you going to sell out? Because I've told in my videos, because people say, like, dude, McGuire's needs to be paying you because you push so much of their product. I said, well, because I like a lot of their stuff.
Very good, right.
And I said, but I'm pretty certain McGuire's would not be okay saying, hey, Darren, we want you to be a spokesperson for us. We're going to sponsor you, whatever. And I'm going to say, yeah, you know what? I love McGuire's synthetic express wax. But this other crap of theirs, it sucks. And you know who has some better stuff? chemical guys.
Right.
Or
Oh
sold.
no, Darren! You
I
need to
said,
mention that on the Auto Detailing podcast.
Oh.
Use chemical guys. I'm teasing.
see, that's my point, and so that's what I say is like I'm pretty certain I'm not going to get those moments because I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm not going to sell out and say, okay, it's like fine if you want to hire me, but you got to know that I'm going to call it like it is.
Right.
So if I hate this product, I'm going to tell people it's like, hey, we make like 10 really good products, whoever I'm talking for,
Right.
but we've got about 5 that are just marginal. So if you want something over here to replace those 5, I'll tell you where to go. Guess what? It's not us.
Right.
So I'm confident that there's
It
going
can
to
be
be
done, right.
almost no big time players that are going to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Me too.
So
Yep.
like you, it's like I'm just going to call it like it is.
Right.
If it's bullshit, it's bullshit. If it sucks, it sucks.
Call
Doesn't
me,
mean it sucks for you. Maybe you like it. And if you like it, what do I tell my followers? Then use it because they constantly write in. Hey, Darren, I tried this, but what do you recommend? I said, well, the simple answer is if it's working for you.
Are you scratching your paint? No. Okay, then it must be working.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like if it's
Simple
working
formula.
for you,
Right.
go with it. But if you want to know what I use, this is what I use. But I can assure you, it's not the only thing that will
Right.
work.
And I might change it.
Exactly.
Right. You might find something different. Something better.
Honestly, often I may have 3 choices in my van. And I don't know why I'm reached for choice A today.
Right.
Sometimes it's like maybe purely psychological. I don't know why. I just
color,
know that
right?
I'm reaching for it.
Oh, that one smells good.
feeling
But the
blue
fact
today.
that it's
Yeah.
in my van is significant and
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah.
So maybe the better question is, okay, what's in your van for you to pick and choose from? Okay, we could start there. Now, why did I pick that today? Well, I do know that the humidity is at about in the teens, and I know that this product works better in really low humidity, like
out
a
of
window
experience.
cleaner.
Yeah, right.
So that's where I would go from there. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, guess what, guys? When it comes to window cleaners, you can pretty much pick whatever you want because so much of it's about technique.
Yeah.
And what you need to understand that a big variable of that is literally the weather conditions. Every car glass is different. You may have some car glass that's very slippery, and suddenly some that just doesn't want to slide at all.
Sometimes you don't find out if it worked until the next morning. when
Yeah,
it's all fogged
right.
up.
Exactly.
When you're driving into the sunrise and you're like,
Yeah, you're like,
wow,
wow.
I thought I nailed it.
That
It looks
bottle's going
terrible.
in the trash.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So I'm just going to call it like it is.
Yeah, that's the. That's
And
the
it
only
sounds
thing.
like you're kind of on that same program.
So if people want to follow your YouTube channel, or I like to end like this too, what would you like to say to the detailers out there that may be like, oh, that Matt guy, he's not a professional. He's just like,
What a hack.
What a hack.
What
Yeah.
a wannabe.
What a
How about that?
wannabe.
What a wannabe.
You know what I say? You're right. You know, what do you want me to say? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I don't propose to be, or profess, I should say, to be a professional detailer. I probably could be one if I wanted to be.
I think you could.
I just, what I would hope the detailing community would accept is that there's a niche for, you know, for the guy that's going to do it themselves. There's no competition there. The people that are going to do it themselves aren't going to hire detailers
100%.
anyway.
Exactly.
Of course they're going to jack up the paint. Of course they're going to screw up. I can't tell you how many times I've screwed up, and how much more I'm going to learn between now and next year and the year after that. So I think the key sort of takeaway, or what I'd like the detailing community to understand is that, you know, I love what you do, and I think it's freaking awesome, and I'm going to do it in my garage, and I'm going to share it with that sort of subset of the community to hopefully drive more business to you guys, because I don't freaking want it. I just want to.
You mean you don't want to go out for $150?
Yeah.
Yeah, my rate is like, you know, a lot more than that, so forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But, you know, I hope that the guys would give me a shot. Just say, you know, I'd like to hear your story, and let me tell you mine, and then, you know, if we don't like each other, that's cool too. You know,
The world's big enough for both of us.
yeah, exactly. So I hope that, you know, 10 years from now I'm walking around the North Hall and it's, you know, takes over the entire hall, and it sure feels like that, because I'm sure you guys were here years ago and there were like 5 booths, and I hope to have my role or my part of that, and that's all.
Yeah, good
Nice.
for you.
How can people find you, connect with you, follow you?
If you just Google Obsessed Garage, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you Google Matt Moreman, you can find my LinkedIn profile. I'm building a whole Obsessed Wealth Management website.
Oh, nice.
And then obsessedgarage.com.
Awesome.
With all the stuff. And my podcast is called Dialed In.
Nice.
And if you want to listen to me ramble on for an hour about, my opinions in life. So, and a little bit of detailing in between.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, that's how you find me.
Cool. And you, Darren, how do people find you?
Let's see. Auto fetish, pretty much those 2 keywords. I can be found. Any search will turn me up.
I'm working on, I heard this guy say one time, if you Google, it was Seth Godin, but if you Google Seth, he pops up. So I would like, if you Google
legit.
Jimbo,
right.
I would pop up. I'm
I
not even
test
close,
that every few years.
Yeah.
I'll just start typing in Darren.
Right.
And like maybe 8 years ago, some guy in the UK would come up, which I don't remember what he does.
Right.
So I'm waiting for that day when I
That'd be so
type.
cool.
Of course, I can't do it on my own computer.
Right, because you're cash and all that. Yeah.
So anyhow,
Cool.
interesting note.
Well, I'm going to end the recording, but thanks, guys.
Yeah,
All right.
Cool.
All right. That was episode 257 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. Again, reach out to Matt on Facebook or however you want to reach him through his YouTube channel or whatever. Tell him you heard about him through the Auto Detailing Podcast. That'd be cool. I hope you leave this episode. My goal was for you to leave this episode with a better understanding and more appreciation for Matt and what he's doing over at Obsessed Garage. Again, I want to thank Brian for putting us in touch. I look forward to being on his podcast as well. That should be fun. So if you guys want to see a different side of me, maybe a little bit more insight than I already give, make sure you look for my episode over on the Dialed In podcast. Hey, by the way, I want to let you know, on autodetailingpodcast.com, I've started doing a ton of blogging. I'm talking about detailing myths, detailing products, best detailing products, best tips, all that stuff. So if you go to autodetailingpodcast.com, not only do I have the resources tab of all the products that I recommend with links to purchase them, but I've also started to do a text blog where you can read articles that I'm going to post from here on out. So I'm, again, just trying that medium for something different. Again, the goal is more content to reach more of you, to help more of you out. Because I remember what it was like to get started and try to grow and try to get good information. So check that out. Let me know what you think if you care to reach out. Of course, guest suggestions, show suggestions, you can just hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/autodetailingpodcast. Better yet, just go to autodetailingpodcast.com, and I have all the social links linked up there. And of course, if you would rather listen to these episodes via YouTube, you can do that too, autodetailingpodcast.com/YouTube. And now that I completely feel like I've just hoard out a bunch of links, that's all I got, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one with Matt. Let me know what you thought. Leave some comments on Facebook or whatever. All right, see you guys on the next episode. Thanks.